Hi, I'm Lazaroo-Hood, entrepreneur, philanthropist and family man.
This is my podcast, In Conversation With.
From the boardroom, back to the beginnings, to the present with my guests, talking about business, family and sport.
Today we're back at Belfast. We're here to meet Mark Shields. He's the CEO of Taka, a sports analytical company. And I can't wait to hear everything that he's grown in Northern Ireland and now going international and over to the US. So today we're going to be walking around the Cathedral Quarter of Belfast.
Good to
Nice
see
to
you.
see you, Billy, mate.
Thank you for having me and agreeing to have it in a home fixture for me.
Well, the Duke of York is one of the most famous icons on, what would you say, medicinal purposes?
Absolutely. Mental therapy.
Well, we definitely need that, especially during this time of year as well. Tell me about your childhood and tell me how that's led to your business successes, I suppose.
I always start by saying this the same way. I guess my life is probably summed up by being an above average mathematician and a below average sportsman and wishing it was the other way around. Growing up, I grew up in Templepatrick. My mum and dad were both teachers. Very happy times. Primary school at Lonens in Templepatrick, and then went to Belfast Royal Academy, where maths went well and sport went just okay. But fortunately, I played on enough teams with people who are more talented than me that the teams did well. So,
which is useful within the career that you've moved yourself into, which we'll talk about in a wee while.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say is the family, parents been quite influential?
Yeah, hugely. I mean, there's a lot of debate, people talking about the changes to, inheritance tax and for me, and I probably don't say this to them enough, but my parents gave me everything that I would need from an inheritance point of view before I was 18, in terms of support, judgment, so it was a great background and to be honest, anything that we achieve as their 4 kids will be largely, if not exclusively, as a result of my parents, and my brother and sisters would say that too.
Oh, I think that's great. And that's one thing about Northern Ireland is the family is the heart of what and the growth that we've been able to achieve. They set a foundation for us in business and in life as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's, just seeing people who are exceptional at certain things, you can learn from and hopefully do okay in other areas. But they're like the most influential people in my life for sure.
Okay, and I suppose with the child it leads into, your background. And within your background, can you tell me how that's assisted in achieving the successes that you've had to date?
There's really 2 parts of that, Ross. For me, the most important part is realising that life's as part of a team. And, I think for us, and you'll probably hear me talk a lot about this, the biggest thing that we have going for us is we have a series of incredibly talented people who are much more talented than me. And sometimes I think as CEO, it's just to regurgitate their opinion like it's my own. So, from upbringing, playing in team sports with a great group of mates at both school and university, that team sense was is very important, and obviously that led into when I taught, and that from a teaching point of view as well. Mm-hmm. That idea of coaching team sport, but also being part of a department teaching maths, etc. So really, I think that my whole life that part of team has been really, really important. And then the second thing, just when you'd asked about education, is maths, because a lot of what we do is mathematical modelling and algorithms, and that's always been something that I've been hugely passionate about, and both school and university gave really a fostering of sort of developing that.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose everyone's going to wonder the leap from being, a teacher, a vice principal, and now the CEO of, a global sporting analytical company.
So actually, I'll probably start that story before, which is how I got into teaching. So left university, which was an experience that I enjoyed massively, and went. Wasn't totally sure what I wanted to do. Like, I thought I wanted to stay in Cambridge maybe for another year and do a master's or something like that. And I went back and spoke to Billy Young, who was the principal of BRA where I went to school, and just a hugely influential person for me. And the world doesn't give much categorical advice, but he just said, you were born to teach. And he said, I want you to come back and teach here.
What was the degree in?
Economics.
Okay.
So a lot of my friends went to the city. So as it turns out, then in a strange chain of events, I decided I was going to do a PGCE in maths at Cambridge, and I applied, and they said that there wasn't enough maths in my degree. So I went back and forth, and said, well, look, I'm happy to do a test. I'm happy, you tell me what I need. But they said no. So I wrote a letter to a school called The Purse, which is a big independent school in Cambridge, and said, like, hi, my name's Mark Shields, I'm doing this.
Amazing.
Yeah. I was like, as long as I've got really good people around me I can pretend that their opinion is mine, then I can be amazing. So I wrote them a letter, and they said, yeah, come in, come and work for us. So I worked there for 2 years, and then Billy Young, who was the inspiration behind me becoming a teacher, said, look, you need to come back, you need to come back home, you need to come back to BRA. And he's such a powerful influence that I did that, spent 10 very happy years working there. And then applied for a job as vice principal of Ballymena Academy, which was a difficult thing to do, but was definitely the right thing. I wanted a school that wasn't necessarily a rival of BRA, but were still very interested in their sport.
But difficult?
No, not at all. And again, like, a really nice place to work. Staff there are amazing. A lot are, I'm still close with, and even though I was only there sort of a year and a bit. So that's the teaching part, which I'm conscious is kind of a corollary towards your question.
Uh-huh.
And then I suppose the background to what we're doing now is maybe in the last couple of years of my teaching career, I was introduced to Paul and Marty, who are my two business partners. They are brothers, very, very different backgrounds. Paul's an engineer, and unlike me, was a very good footballer. And his brother Marty, who won the 2007, I think, Pot Limit Omaha World Series of Poker event. So, two brothers, very different skill sets. But they asked me, introduced through a guy called Robbie Wooden, who teaches at BRA, which shows the sort of teaching connection. But they asked me if I would be interested in doing some mathematical modelling for a football betting syndicate that they ran. And I come back to the very first thing I said, which is that I'm probably an above average mathematician and a below average sportsman, so this is perfect. As a volunteer, and so I did that for about 2 years. Didn't ever think of leaving teaching, and then all of a sudden things got a bit busier, and there was the opportunity to expand in doing a little bit of consulting for Brighton originally, but some Premier League clubs, and all of a sudden it seemed like I couldn't continue to do them both. So originally they asked me if I would go full time, and I said no, and then
right.
And then I realised that it was kind of an opportunity that I would probably regret if I didn't take. So so 5 years ago resigned as vice principal in Ballymena, and took it up.
Next day you were CEO?
Well, yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a company to be CEO of at that time. It was, kind of the three of us. And then fortunately, we expanded, reasonably quickly. We ended up with a contract very early with US Youth Soccer, which started what we do in the US. But yeah, I mean, it's, even looking back, you realise it's strange because they're two very different jobs on the face of it. But sport and team and maths right at the heart of all three. So it's probably a less big change than other people might think.
That leads perfectly on to the next question, and you mentioned about US and Taka. So can you tell me about the successes to date for you in regard to the business achievement and Taka specifically?
Yeah, so in essence, one of the main things that we do, which is almost a byproduct of the analytics, is we have an ability to take long video content from sport, like football games 90 minutes, and distill it into personalised bits that would be of interest to you. And how that started in the US is you've got lots of kids making highlight videos of themselves so that they can send to colleges and hope to get recruited for particularly soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So
is it soccer or football?
Well, it's certainly soccer out there. And it's funny because for the vast majority of my life, obviously it's been football, but occasionally I'll find myself saying soccer here and be looked at with rightful disdain. So our technology enables players to have an online resume of their best bits in a way that it can be discoverable. So, if a college recruiter wants to look at dribbles that they've done or passes, they can do that. And when they play more games, that is up to date. So we were very fortunate that early on in what the company does, we had a partnership with US Youth Soccer, and we've a great relationship with Mark and Mike and the guys there, and then that expanded about a year and a half ago into an agreement with Major League Soccer, which is
the MLS.
The MLS.
Where David Beckham's all involved.
Yeah. No, haven't. David Beckham hasn't been on our radar yet, but
well, he is a bit past tense these days, is he not?
Yeah. He's not going to make it playing at at U15 level. So. We ended up with a partnership with them to do something similar, but with the best players in the country for using that video footage and data for technical improvement, for awareness, but also for potentially college scholarships and recruiting the best players to go into the professional game. So, that contract was a year and a half ago, and then it has expanded for this year. And again, it's a great organisation to sort of work with and be partners with.
Well, the MLS in America with football or soccer has really gained ground. I know I was joking about David Beckham, but he has really allowed MLS to succeed and grow, that sport out in America. Because before you've seen it, in, I suppose, the World Cup, American football and baseball was really their two big sports. And now you've got soccer and football really gaining ground, and Messi now coming across, and the other big footballers, which David Beckham's brought across to Miami.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really well-run organisation, and one of the interesting things in working with American sports is this idea that the league is the controlling body, and each of the component members are part of the league. And I know there are implications of that with a lack of promotion and relegation, but you can really see the efficiency of everybody working together in a way that, for example, it's less true for the Premier League.
So I suppose, I think everyone likes to know, the thing about business and being a founder and a CEO of a company is the trials and tribulations that come thereon. So I suppose for you, everyone maybe thinks of Taka as Northern Irish, but actually you have a massive international flair, and with that comes with the hiring and developing of an international team. So going from 3 people to now in excess of over 100.
Yeah, what I'm about to say I think is incredibly unusual for us, because I think that our workforce is, in some senses, very local and almost nepotistic, and I'll talk about that in a second, and then to a certain extent largely international as well. And one of the things about teaching, especially teaching in schools of the sort of calibre of BRA and Ballymena Academy, is that you encounter students who are exceptional, and really without them knowing it or me knowing it, retrospectively some of them were effectively on 7-year job interviews. So we've about 30 something staff in Northern Ireland, but due to the talent, the vast majority of those came from BRA, and it was nice to be able to just know that all of the soft skills that are really important, like how are you going to deal with people having a different opinion to you? Are you going to work hard? Are you a good person to be around? It's very hard to solve those in an interview, but when you have that, so it was easy for us to grow to that sort of 30 here, because we just had quite a good network just from the teaching connection. So that's the sort of internal Northern Ireland sort of maybe slightly nepotistic, but I mean our staff are amazing. And then also we have a couple of satellite companies, 4, so one in Croatia, one in Bosnia, one in Serbia, and one in Montenegro.
Wow.
So that is where a lot of our analysts or video football scouts, if you like, work. And we've a team out there led by Joseph, who we had from early on in the betting modelling days, and I mean I can pay them 2 really big compliments. Firstly, as a business, it almost runs itself. We were fortunate to get Josip, and then he has been exceptional in getting his recruitment of his team and the wider analysts right, and they're an extension of what we do. The second compliment is that when we went out in the summer for a bit of training, they managed to carry a definitely slightly fat 40-year-old, a very average, generously footballer, to a 7-a-side victory against a group of 18 or 19-year-old locals who didn't know what hit them, but I can assure you it was absolutely nothing to do with me, and a little bit to do with Paul, but that's a trip that we do most summers, which is a nice perk. Beaches in Split, with some great guys, and they get on very well with each other. So yeah, that's our team, Northern Ireland / the Balkans.
And obviously you'll be growing out in America over the course of the next couple of years as well, which will be exciting for you guys as well. Mark, tell us a bit more about Taka, because I think myself and the viewers would like to know a bit more detail about what Taka is and what you actually do within the company as well.
Yeah, so Taka is about to have a big 2025. So what we've done, as I mentioned earlier, is the ability to personalize video content, and that the vast majority of that has been in the US. But what we've realized is there's massive demand for that within grassroots sport, in Ireland or the UK or worldwide, where increasingly these games are being videoed, and people don't want to watch 90 minutes back, but what they will do is watch 90 seconds of their kids or 30 seconds of their mate scoring an absolute screamer. So that's what we're going to take this to the market now. The UK and Ireland's slightly different in terms of grassroots sport, and volunteer culture is much more prevalent than it is in the US. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take our software and give it to amateur clubs for free, and we'll make money from advertising and affiliates, which we will share with those amateur clubs. So that's what we do from the amateur point of view, and then we're fortunate in that we're in extended discussions with some broadcasters about taking professional content and adding that in. So if, for example, you are Ross and you support Liverpool, you play rugby for...
support Larne FC.
Support Larne FC, play rugby for Academy, which is my team, and you have a daughter who plays basketball at school.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science what you want to see from sports content. You want to see Larne FC on a player-by-player basis. You want to see who Academy are playing this weekend and who are their dangerous players, and you want to see the best bits of your daughter playing basketball. So that's what our software will deliver in 2025 as we give it out for free. So that's probably slightly longer than I thought, but that's the Taka story.
Oh no, but it gives me points as well, which is interesting to hear. Well, I suppose there's twofold. One, you talk about that giving away the free IP. James Watt at Brewdog did exactly the same, and people were shocked that he gave away all the recipes for free. But he then, created innovation with the general public to help Brewdog really grow. And I suppose that's something that you're going to be doing as well with giving out that free IP.
Yeah, absolutely. Because don't get me wrong, our technology is amazing and the guys have worked really, really hard on it. But really, the exciting content is not created by Taka. The exciting content is created by kids playing basketball at a good level, or making great tackles in rugby, or scoring screamers in football. So we don't have those players, so to give our technology for free in order that amateur clubs can celebrate that for themselves and make some money through a profit share on advertising and affiliates. It seems like the right way to go from a business point of view, but just from if we're going to make money, we want it to go back to grassroots sport. Well,
I think that's it. And you are giving back at that point, and you've got over 37,000 players involved within Taka, and I suppose that also helps scouts, as you were saying earlier, and the fact that scouts can actually centre in and look at those inspirational and potential elite sports people.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our investors, and he will know who he is an international rugby player, and without going too much into the story, but he played a Schools Cup game whenever I was still at school, and the opposition missed a kick to win the game, and we honestly think that had that kick gone over, he wouldn't have played professional rugby, and that's in Northern Ireland. It's a really small place. You can imagine the magnitude of that problem of not being able to efficiently view what people do in games, in national selection, international selection, college recruitment in the US, etc.
Mark, last question, not the last question for today, by the way, we do have quick fire, but last question for me to ask you in a bit of detail about you, and that is, what drives you? What drives you as a person to be successful and I suppose drive Taka as well?
Yeah, you're about to see the classic Mark Shields deflection, because what drives me is we're walking towards Whites here, and I'm just hugely incentivized by wanting to have a pint.
You're not having to answer the question.
But yeah, look, I suppose this is going to sound a little bit wanky, but you'll have noted, from the very start, I said that we have an incredible team, and we have an incredible team who've been hugely backing of us, from investors, staff, friends, family, and just as CEO, my responsibility is to deliver value for them. So in what form that takes, I don't know. I'm hugely excited about what we've still got going on, but that's my motivation to be able to lead an exceptional group of people to a result that'll be hopefully make make that team very, very happy. So,
and I suppose it's also the fact is within any CEO, it's setting that strategy, the vision, and it's the development. And I suppose it's the evolution of Taka. And you said it's going to be an exciting 2025, and that's what you'll be driving with the team. But you're centered on, as you said, helping the investors for what they've invested in you guys, but also the fact of the team and having them develop.
Absolutely. You know, and to be honest, they do a lot of their developing themselves. You know, you know, it's their problem solving. You know, it's their creativity. It's their vision. So, yeah, hopefully they get rewarded, and hopefully they don't realise they're just carrying somebody at the top who doesn't actually add particularly much value. But that's what motivates me.
Cheers.
Cheers. Sorry, I had a bit at the bar.
Wow. Don't blame me.
More than a
there.
bit.
I'm not even going to try and split the G. I don't think I could do it, to be honest with you. So, quick fire.
I'll be as quick as I can.
Well, I'm going to be gentle. It's not a Spanish Inquisition, honest. Tell me, 3 inspirational heroes.
My parents, Billy Young, who I mentioned earlier, who is principal of BRA, and anybody who works for Taka.
Well, they're all our heroes, aren't they? All the teams that work with us.
Absolutely.
They're brilliant. And what would you say 3 steps to success that you could share with everybody?
Interestingly, when in my first teaching job, the principal of the school retired as I was coming back to Northern Ireland. He gave me a brilliant bit of advice, which is, Mark, to do my job, in fact, to do any job, you only need to be able to do 2 things. And I remember thinking, there must be much more than 2, but his 2 things were, do what you say you're going to do and get back to people. So I guess I've done it in 2.
Well, that's it. And that is the fact that you're providing a service and you're being genuine. And I think that actually helps people by means of going back to them and not letting the delay come through in that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just good manners as well. You know, sometimes you get people reaching out, can we work together? It's like, you know, just communicate.
No, I think that's it. And these are the easy ones now. Might not be. 3 favourite foods?
Yorkshire puddings.
Oh. Dipped in gravy or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Stuffing and chips. It's not very Michelin star.
Most Michelin star chefs go basic with Gordon Ramsay famously said when asked his favourite food, fry up.
Yeah.
Because he tastes all these rich food.
Away.
And it comes down to that too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
3 favourite places you'd like to go on holiday?
At the end of September, I was away with a great group of guys playing cricket in Kigali in Rwanda. So it's a bit of a plug. Wow. A bit of a plug for what is an absolutely amazing country. I was fortunate enough. I took a school cricket tour to Kandy and Colombo in Sri Lanka in 2013, and yeah, you know, aside from there, I guess it's a little bit memories are good places, but as a place just by itself, maybe Nashville, where I was earlier this year for a soccer tournament, and and some country. You know, I quite like cities that, you know, they're just totally different to anywhere else in the world, and it definitely is.
I would love to do Nashville. I'm a big Garth Brooks fan, and I love all the country. Basically, it's my mum's fault.
Yeah.
She forced us to listen and go and see country music, and somehow I've got older. I've actually got more of an appreciation. Although I don't know what excuse it would be that I went to see Garth Brooks at Croke Park 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
I can lie and say I was hit, but I definitely wasn't, to be honest.
Me neither.
I was going to go through. Yeah. And Kandy, I love it. I went to Sri Lanka and did the triangle and saw the cricket ground in Colombo. Went to Kandy, all the steepness, and then went to Sagri afterwards for some amazing safari stuff, which was great.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it even easier for you. Tell me 3 ways that you try to relax, unwind.
I don't think I'm a naturally sort of stressy, person. I very much enjoy my job. So fortunately, people will say they don't think I naturally need to do that. But I mean, we're here in Whites. I enjoy a beer. I enjoy watching sport, and I enjoy good company.
Definitely explains. I know that you're one of the most chill people I know, to be honest with you, and you're a CEO at the same time. This is going to be even easier then. And how would you say the number of hours that you would work in a day? And everyone says that when you enjoy your job,
You never work a
it
day in
isn't
your
really
life.
isn't work. But would you say you're an all-dayer, or do you think that you pivot yourself on X number of hours on a day, or how would you say you work on that?
I mean, it's hugely variable, but like I do work hard. So I mean, I don't know, like maybe 60-hour week on average, something like that. So I'll typically work quite long hours Monday to Friday, and then I'll do a half day on either Saturday or Sunday to just sort of get caught up and prepare for for the next week. But whenever I said earlier about enjoy a sports match or a pint or good company, it's rare I would turn down the option of any of the three of those in order to do work.
Well, when I say to my family the fact that I end up going to the pub for networking, and they went, well, that's not what we used to call it when we were younger. The fact that it's more social. And you could call that networking at the same time. And
yeah, it might be more than 60 hours a week if that's falling into that definition, though.
well, you're going through, but do you find as well that, because you have that international flavour to Taka, do you find the fact that the different time zones affect the number of hours it potentially happens too? Because there's other people who've been on the podcast who have been directly within the United Kingdom, so that didn't matter. But there's other ones who have multiple calls worldwide. So obviously America's kind of kick up around about tea time, middle afternoon. Do you find that the time zones affect you?
Yeah, it's interesting how you just sort of settle into routines, So we're doing a bit of work, and hopefully it will increase with an Australian company in partnership with them on a lot of generative AI stuff. I guess more on that later, but that's the start of the day. That's 8 a.m. 7:30, 9, because they're sort of +9 or +11. Fortunately, the US companies that we deal with are typically East Coast, so it's it's only -5, which is not that bad. So they're very good, and they try and do early morning their time. But even if it is afternoon time their time, it's sort of 8 o'clock. So I mean, it works okay.
Yeah, it doesn't impact your life that much in the hourage.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, for me, I live in Malaysia now, and I have that 8 hours, so I'm working up to 2 a.m., kind of catching up with the UK, and luckily it doesn't bother me. I sleep very little, but having the Americans and the East Coast, you're okay. You're not up to my silly hour clock at then.
No.
You get away with it. Okay, so 3 ambitions you've got.
Yeah, I find this very hard to answer. I know that we sort of alluded to it earlier. Like, I'm just very competitive for the company's success, for the people that have invested a lot in it. I through more luck and surrounding myself with good people, I've been fortunate that I very much enjoy life, and I suppose my second ambition would be that continues to be the case. This is when I get something into my head, it's actually hard to it's hard not to say it, even if it's a bit sort of wanky again. But
come on,
in the trip to Sri Lanka that I was talking about in 2013. In one of the places we went, that had this magnificent sign, which was the 5 keys to be happy. Mm-hmm. And if I saw that was on your wall, I'd be like, I'm not sure about you, Ross, but just somehow it worked from there, and it just said, so the 5 things were free your mind from worries, free your heart from hatred, live simply, give more, expect less. So I think that's. I mean, I don't think about that often. It's just come into my head. But it's an incredibly good mantra. That we're very fortunate in what we have, and my ambition is just that continues.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Thanks, mate, for coming on the podcast. It really means a lot to me.
Thanks for having me.
And you take care, all right?
Yeah, chat soon. Thanks, Marcus.
I like that.